We are live.
Good evening, everyone, and a big hello from Lean in India team, Sipping Thoughts, and BW Business World. We bring you today a beautiful session on getting to equal, creating a gender-sensitive home and workplace with Renuka Mishra. This is one of our many sessions in the Leadership Series, a program that brings thought leaders from different walks of life to talk about their words of wisdom on varied topics. I'm Urvi Juneja, VP at Genpact and Chapter Lead at Lean in India. Just briefly about our partners, let me start with Sipping Thoughts. Sipping Thoughts is a multi-platform media company co-founded by Sukirti Gupta and Meeta Gudgutia. It was set up keeping in mind the tagline, Real Women, Real Thoughts, a no-judgment platform where they want to create a network of women for women. About BW Business World. BW Business World, a fortnightly magazine launched more than 3 decades ago and is amongst the India's largest and most respected business magazines. The team prides itself in spotting key trends in economy and business. It has done this consistently over decades, whether it was spotting the rise of the IT sector in the 90s, the pharma and the telecom trend in the late 90s, or the social media, healthcare, and e-tailing revolution in recent times. And now about Lean in India. Lean in India is the official national chapter of Lean in India. It's a community founded by Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg that empowers women towards their ambitions. It aims to contribute towards encouraging more women in leadership positions through peer circles, campaigns, collaborations, and events. Our aim is to increase representation of women in leadership positions by enabling women in workforce. And about our speaker now, Renuka ji, welcome, a big welcome. She is the ADG Police Recruitment and Promotion Board and Nodal Officer Lucknow for the Mission Shakti, which spearheads the initiative focused on women's safety, security, dignity, and self-reliance. She actively works to make the voice of every woman heard. She has the 31 years of experience in policing in the areas of human resource management, recruitment and training, investigation of crime, maintenance of law and order, community policing, and transnational crime. She actively works to post at various places during the service. She has received many awards, including the Indian Police Medal for Meritorious Services, President's Police Medal for Distinguished Services, High Altitude Medal, Foreign Services, and UN Peacekeeping Medal, as well as 7 silver and gold Director General Commendation Discs over the course of her career. So big welcome, Renuka ji. We look forward to hearing you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Urvi, and thank you, Sukirti, for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here and delighted to talk to so many women. I can't see too many right now, but whenever I can, I'm sure I'll get some more on the screen. I want to start with the topic at once. Just before we started, we were talking about how difficult it is and that, that we are thinking about getting to equal and all that. How many of you feel that getting to equal is something that you don't want to do? Don't get me wrong, but why would you want to get to becoming equal to men when some of you might be way above them already? Why would you want to devalue yourself to be able to get to equal? So most of the time, the presumption, unfortunately, is that men are somewhere at a higher pedestal and women need to somehow be lifted to be able to placed on par with them, So I want to start with this immediately and say that, when we look at getting to equal, is it really equal that we're looking about? I wanted to hold that thought and keep that in mind, because it's not always equal. You might just be way better, way higher, and, in a manner much more smarter or on a much better level than they can ever aspire to be. So let's not look at getting to equal as something that is an upward movement. Let's look at it a little differently. How many of you have been given a compliment that made you uncomfortable and probably you wondered about it and said, like, is it even a compliment? Let's say Sukirti. Did anyone ever?
Many times, yes.
I'm going to continue because I'm just giving a name because I can see a name. That, okay, let's take my own name. That Renuka is not less than any male officer. Why would it ever occur to you that I could be less or I could be less? That, in a sense, is the issue. That we are constantly making a comparison to something, and we keep women here and we are making a comparison which we think is somewhere here. So it's all about what does that society, ki meri beti mere bete se kam nahi hai. You know how it is? It's always somewhere else. It's always that the beta is here, that the beti is here, and the beti is not. So it's like it's supposed to be a compliment, but I have never ever thought of it as a compliment. So what does the society actually think about males and females? What qualities does it attribute in the name of culture, in the name of tradition, religion, norm, what have you, to men and to women, respectively? Are we born with these qualities that automatically seem to be attributed to us? Are we born with them, or do we acquire them? Are we trained for them, or are we just placed in an environment where we are given such functions, and on a continuous basis we are trained for these functions, and then when we acquire them, we reinforce those functions in us, or reinforce those qualities in us, and then we integrate them into our way of life, and then we create a loop for generations to come. I see it in that manner more than anything else. Sex is biological. You're either born male or you're born female. I think we all agree with that, as in the physicality or the genitalia. But now there's a possibility to even correct that, even change that. These days, even that is transient. But gender is a social construct. Gender is what in effect makes a male into a man, or a female into a woman. When you say male, you just think that this child is born a male, or this child is born a female. But when you think man, you automatically attribute a whole set of qualities and a whole set of things to that thing that we call the man. So this transformation from a male to a man and a female to a woman with all its trappings, that is what gender is all about. And there is a difference between these two things. We tend to not look at that as a difference. Gender is exactly what restricts a boy from crying, and it is what restricts a girl from playing with cars. So when we enter into what we call responsible positions, like if you're the CEO of a company, or if you're a professor in a college, or you're a doctor or you're a police officer, when we enter into these responsible positions, we tend to take this socialization process with us, and then we respond to these situations accordingly. This could color everything. This could color how we hear something, somebody saying something, how we hear it, how we see it, how we read it, how we understand, interpret, how we address it, how we redress it. Whether it's an issue, whether it's a policy, whether it's the kind of infrastructure that you're making, whether it's the kind of equipment that you're using, whether it's the kind of accoutrement that you're wearing, logistics, every single thing is colored by that socialization process of what you think should be because this is for a woman, what you think should be because this is for a man. How many of the ones in the audience right now are thinking, why is it always about what women want, what women need, women, what about men? Don't they get raped? Don't we get raped? Are we not victims of domestic violence? We are deprived too. Is gender only about women? So I want to address that as well. No, it's not about women only. As I said, gender is a social construct. So it's about both. It's about men and it's about women. But Article 15(3) of the Constitution of India gives the power to discriminate positively in favor of women. Because automatically, when there has been something that has been deprived for generations to come, the Constitution of India has provided the scope to actually positively discriminate in favor of women because that is what is required. The Constitution of India also upholds the right to equality, right to equal employment, the right not to be discriminated on grounds of caste, creed, sex, religion, everything. These are all fundamental rights. So then what is this equality that we all seem to be talking about? Have you had or are you bosses who have been told or have told their subordinates, I believe in equality. I give the same work, same timing, same personnel policies, same bulletproof vests, same everything to both men and women employees. You've seen so many people who say that, right? That हम तो कुछ नहीं सोचते, हम ना सब मेरे लिए बराबर है, लड़का लड़की सब बराबर, everybody is equal. I also speak exactly the same in front of both. If I abuse both. Have you had bosses who did not want to be in the same room as you alone because they feared you might complain about sexual harassment, or then avoided giving you some work which you should have been doing based on your position because they wanted to protect themselves from the internal committee? Has the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, which was enacted to prevent sexual harassment, and also to tell every employer and employee what behavior, what words, what gestures were unacceptable by law, has it led to inclusion or has it led to further exclusion? How many of us have faced that? There was a DG, I'd gone to call on one of my DGs in an organization. So when I went to talk to him, he had been my DG earlier as well. So I just went to call on him, and he called for coffee, and we were both sitting and having coffee in his office. And he suddenly told me, he says, you know, Renuka, tum ho, to we are sitting and we are having coffee. Had it been anybody else from my organization, I would have called 4 or 5 people as buffer, you know, so that I'm not left in the room alone with you. Since when did we become those dangerous people? And what Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act was supposed to do, how it was supposed to lead to mainstreaming, what has it exactly led to? And what is this kind of mindset that we are, you know, faced up against? What is equality then? Let me give you an example. There is a beautiful view from a window, and you want to see that view. You have 2 people who have to see that view. So what do? You place 2 stools of exactly the same height, and you put it against the wall. And once you get above a particular height, you can see that beautiful view. When you get to that place, you see that there is one person who stands and who's able to see the view. But there is another person who has to suffice with just the wall in front of her because she cannot see the view. Equality is giving same stools to both men and women. What do we actually require? We require different size stools, because what is our ultimate objective? Our ultimate objective is that the view has to be seen. So if there are 2 individuals of different heights, then we need to give 2 different size stools. And when we give those 2 different size stools, then both will be able to see the view. So our ultimate objective is actually that the view has to be seen. And that is what we're looking for. We are not looking at equality. Equality means same thing for everybody, same for all, same even for different people. What we are looking at is equity. And that is what we need in engendered policies. If you have the same thing, how can you have the same thing for different people? Because you can't have different things for the same people, right? We're very troubled about that we cannot discriminate. How can you have different policies for the same kind of people? No, you can't. So similarly, you cannot have the same policies for different kind of people. So accept that we are different. We have to accept that we are different. And once we've accepted that we are different, we can adopt, adapt, and then move ahead from there. So how do we deal with it? We have to move one step ahead. We have to leverage each other. We have to leverage our strengths. We have to work from our strengths, control our weaknesses, get over our weaknesses, but we have to champion each other. And then it's not whether we are different. It's not whether you are different. It's whether you are willing to be the difference for others. Are you willing to make that difference for another person once you figure it out? So you see, when we have these, when we go on a flight, then you know the oxygen mask concept, right? That if you have a baby with you, then you first have to put your oxygen mask first, and then you can, you know, help the baby put the oxygen mask on. What does it really mean? That until your cup is full, you will not be able to give to others. So the first thing is to look into your own organization. Have we done it okay? Look into your own home. Have we done it all right? If we are okay, then when we choose, and then we start to figure it out for everybody else. So a couple of years ago in 2016, we have this national conference for women in police once in every 2 years. The BPRND organizes this. And in that, there was a presentation that I had given on creating a gender sensitive environment and infrastructure and policies. So to do that presentation, I had taken into consideration, I'd done a survey, and we had issued this questionnaire to many states across the country, many central paramilitary forces, and we had focused on certain things. And we had some thought as to that, as to the fact that there were problems within the police organization. And we realized that until we are sensitive towards the women who are in our own organization, there is no way that we can expect ourselves to be sensitive to the people outside the organization. That means if a victim is coming to us and the victim expects a particular response from us, we will not be able to give that response to those victims until we ourselves have catered for our own organization and we're able to do it within the organization. So there was a survey, we did this questionnaire, and the things that, why did we do this? Because we believed that engendered changes in our policies, in our infrastructure, in our equipment, in the accoutrement, in the training, in the environment per se, these will lead to an overall efficiency of the police department as a whole. Because you know that the public, the population of this country is 48% female, and I mean, it's already almost 50-50. But the population of the women police is only 8%. It's a little more than 8% of the entire. So, okay, we'll get there. There will be a time when we will get there. We came in as IPS officers, we came in without a reservation policy. Nowadays, you have a reservation policy for more and more women to come into the force. And unless we have more and more, people will stop looking at us as, you know, ajubas. I keep saying this because when we are a little less in the department, then everybody would, I mean, when I often talk about it, that when I went to my first district, people used to just come for the heck of it. They would just come to see who I was, or to see how I looked, or how I spoke. And they would put their, you know, nudge their women forward. I keep talking about it. So it was very interesting, but now things have changed. So we need more numbers. Unless we have more numbers, people will not understand. So the main problem was, when we looked at these problems, you see, everything in the police, it was a male dominated profession. It was originally a male profession. And so everything that was designed keeping a flat chested male in mind. Whether it was a bulletproof vest, whether it was a riot control equipment, whether it was even the size of the lathi, whether it's the size of the weapon, every single thing was kept keeping males in mind. So when females came into the police forces, they didn't bother to change the provisioning, the procurement, the type of equipment that they were. These were very, very big problems. Because if we want a woman to actually protect herself, and actually, you know, why is a bulletproof vest used? It is used so that she can protect herself. So if it is too loose or if it is too tight, both ways, she's not getting a protection. If a riot control equipment is too loose or too tight, it only leads to further health problems. It's not protecting her in any way. Another thing is that if you have you have a race, you have a 100-meter race. One person has it all clear. The other person has hundreds of hurdles in her path. During the course of this thing, which we focused on recruitment parameters, we focused on infrastructure, on barracks, on the amenities that are provided, on sanitation, on transport, on equipment, the kit that we wear, health and safety, we got to know that women are not drinking water for almost 24 hours before a law and order duty. If they're going on election duty, they don't drink water. They don't drink water because they don't have a place to go and urinate. And we have not made any provisions for them. They're not expected to go. I don't expect male constables also to go and, fertilize the countryside, because that is not what is exactly expected of anybody. But women, they can't go anywhere. And so they don't drink water. When we used to have parades, we used to not drink water. Our male counterparts, our male colleagues used to be having tea and biscuits so that they don't faint during parade. And then if a girl faints, she faints because she is the weaker sex, but she's not. She's fainting because she hasn't drunk any water. She's dehydrated. That's why she's fainting. So what is our focus? When we realized, when we did this survey, we were pretty shocked to see all kinds of things that were coming up. There was another thing, that we were having a lot of women with urinary infections. Why did they have urinary infections? Because in the barracks or in the toilets, you know that from childhood, as women, as girls, we have been taught to hide our underclothes. Why don't people know what we wear inside? We know what men wear inside, and they don't make any bones about hanging their underclothes anywhere. If you go to a male barrack, if you go to a police barrack, you will see that they're on the bushes, they're anywhere. When you just see a string somewhere, you'll see their underclothes. But you'll never see any women underclothes. And then we realized why? Because they don't have any place that they can actually get the sun to their underclothes. And so wherever they're hiding it, they're covering it with towels. They're putting it between two towels so that people cannot see and people don't get excited by their underclothes. How ridiculous is that? And because of this reason, they don't get sun. Their bacteria remains as it is, and they get urinary infections because they're wearing damp underwear. We had mothers who had to leave their children behind because they cannot keep their children with them where they're posted. So we had girls who were not being able to express their milk because there was no way of getting their milk to their children. No mother's milk banks, no creches where they can keep their children. It's not an easy job. And so if we're looking at equity, then we have to adjust all these things. We have to provide for them. How much does it take to actually put a bus which has a toilet in it on duty? When you're going there's so many buses, you travel long distances these days, those buses have toilets in them. So how much does it take to actually do that? How much does it take to actually cater to the health of those women? Because they're required to be catered to. Those women will get married. They will have children. Why do you hold it against them? There was one DG of mine, I'm going to be ostracized from my community. But there was one DG of mine who said once that, my son, we get childcare leave. We get 2 years of childcare leave and we can choose to take it at any time. I thought I'll keep it for a bad boss, but then I had to take it when my child was in the 10th standard. So I wanted to take the childcare leave. I went to him for leave. And he said, no, he said, why do you need childcare leave? IPS officers don't take childcare leave. I said, why? Where is it written? Where am I the exception? Why can't I take childcare leave? Where is it written that I cannot? And don't we have children? Don't IPS officers have children? So he says, oh, when my child was in the 10th standard, my son was in the 10th standard, I was posted in Kashmir. And I don't even know when he finished his 10th standard. I was on duty and all that. I said, yes, sir, because you had a wife at home. If I had a wife at home, I wouldn't have had any such problems. But I don't have a wife at home. And then we realized that we need to provide certain solutions. So we came out with a host of solutions, mandatory solutions. We presented those solutions. In fact, the Minister for Women and Child, Maneka Gandhi, had come for that. She saw the presentation. And then after that, it got taken up in the press. The media took it up in a very big way, that these are the problems that women in the police face. And then it was taken up in Parliament by an MP, Mrs. Anupriya Patel. After she took it up in Parliament, the MHA formulated a committee, and you know how it goes. Then finally, they started looking at procurement differently. And I'm very happy that this happened, because now provisioning, they look at provisioning differently. They're actually having contoured bulletproof vests. They're actually looking at things that they did not have earlier. They have things for women. When we used to have white trousers in our academy for PT, we protested against those trousers. We said we don't have flexibility because the boys used to wear shorts. We said, give us track pants. Okay, they gave us track pants. And very simple, white is not a color which is very nice for women because we stain. And I think all of us have gone through it. I am an officer, so I have a toilet in my office. So many times when I have been caught unawares, I've gone in, I've taken out my trousers, I've washed my trousers. I'm very blunt, I'm very, very clear, because unless we talk about these things, it won't. So I have had to do all this because I was caught unawares. Now, how is it? The uniform doesn't give me scope to actually, keep my sanitary napkins anywhere in my uniform. It's too bulky for my pocket. And I cannot carry a purse around with a uniform because that's not the done thing to do. So I have washed my trousers, come back with wet trousers, sat on my chair, waited for them to dry on my body. What about those women constables? What do they do? How do they cover themselves up? Are they supposed to magically, understand that their 28 days are over and also that they're going to get it? Nobody can really figure it out. You feel you can, but you can't. So we suggested, how much does it take to just put sanitary pad dispensers in all the toilets that are there, in the women toilets? We found that sweepers were not going in to actually clean the toilets of the women. We found that the toilets don't have dustbins with lids on them. Very, very simple things. Very simple things. But nobody had bothered to go there. And so we said, let's have sanitary pad dispensers, let's have incinerators, so that they don't have to depend upon anybody else. Every single thing, as far as the environment also is concerned, because in the environment, it's about when you're assessing a man, you're assessing him based on his potential. It's not only in the police, it's everywhere. You're assessing him based on his potential to perform, but you're assessing the woman on her actual performance. There is a basic difference. And when the woman is assertive, you're looking at her as aggressive. And that's the sad part, because what is the difference between assertive and aggressive? It's just gender, nothing else. There's no other difference. There's a very interesting study in which they divided a case study between two parts of, two sections of the classroom. One, it was a case study on a lady with leadership qualities, somebody called Frida. I don't remember the names exactly, but somebody called Frida. So they gave half the class Frida, and the rest of the class, they changed the name to Fred. And when the class read both of them, it was very interesting because the class had men and women both. And when they read both of them, they found that Frida had all the competencies that Fred had. Frida and Fred were the same person, but it was the same case study. They said as far as leadership competencies were there, both were the same. But the difference was that nobody wanted Frida as a boss. Nobody wanted to hire her as a subordinate as well. Everybody wanted Fred, and everybody wanted Fred as a subordinate. So where did that change? So for women leaders, there's one very big issue also of likability. To actually tone yourselves down. Ki bhaiya ye kar dijiye. And you want to say it, you don't want to say it aggressively so that you're not treated. I mean, it's such a pain. How much are you going to adjust yourself based on what somebody else has? How much are you going to do it? Because I really don't think that is something that we should be aspiring for, because that is not the kind of equality that I'm looking at. There was a DGP's police conference once, and there was one DG. So Kirti, I'm aware of the time. I will take a little.
No. Please continue. We're loving the story.
So there was a particular DG from a particular state, and he was, this whole day was about gender issues. The Prime Minister himself was present. So it was on gender issues, and he was saying, that we have 33% reservation in our state. And he said 33% reservation. So there'll be a lot of women coming in, and sir, I've set up a committee, and that committee is going to look into the kind of work that women will be given. So he was saying, okay, we will put them on wireless duty, on telephone duty, on all, dark duty and stuff like this. And I was getting particularly agitated with what he was saying. And I put my hand up when I finally got noticed. I didn't get noticed, so I stood up. And then finally, the Prime Minister looked towards me, so I spoke. And the main thing that I said, this was a state which has Naxalism in it. So I said that the Naxals have no problem in employing women Naxals in their cadre, because 45% of the Naxalite cadre is women. So in a Naxalite state, when you don't have any problem, the Naxalites don't have problem in putting women Naxalites. I don't see the problem that we have. Why are we looking at whether she will be okay in a telephone duty or in a wireless duty or in, the lesser, the softer, the more, the lesser jobs. The second thing that I had, a problem that I had, and I said it there, that to think that only women can be sensitive to women issues, that is another misnomer. And that is something that actually sanctions the insensitivity of the male colleagues that we have. Because when you put a woman for a woman job, or you say you're a woman police officer, so you will be somebody who will look into women issues and you will be sensitive to women issues. So have I not sanctioned the insensitivity of the males of my rank? Because I am not in this force to only look at one. So this is the second problem. And to think that women will only be comfortable sharing their problems with women. Okay, To that extent, yes, maybe. But if a woman goes to an NGO, let's say, and she sees a man with a kurta pajama there, is she going to feel that inhibited? She's not going to feel inhibited, because somehow that NGO environment is telling her that this is a safe place. That is what we have to create in the police. It's not keeping women police there. Right now, we've put women police desks everywhere. In all the police stations, we put Mahila desks. We have women there as part of Mission Shakti. But as part of throughout the country. Why do we do that? So that women can go. We're encouraging women to come up and talk. But what are we actually wanting to do? We are wanting to sensitize the entire thing. Okay, women can show the way forward. We can tell you how to do it. But then you've all got to learn. Everybody's got to learn, because unless everybody learns, it's not going to change. So the PM listened to everything. He listened to that. He listened to everything. And at the end of the whole day's program, he just said one thing. He said that there was, and it's been covered in some BBC documentary. He said that in Gir forest, a lot of lions were dying. And they could not figure out why the reason for lions, dying. Maybe, their care was not proper, or maybe the staff that was posted over there were not taking care. So what he did was he changed the entire staff and kept only women there. The women were actually dragging the lions out, giving them injections, doing everything. Every single work was done by women. So he didn't say much to what that DG was saying. He didn't say anything to what I was saying. But what in effect he was saying was that he put them right in a place where people didn't think that they would ever be, like he went one step ahead. And then what happened? The deaths stopped. And that's been covered by BBC, because the women were found to be more sincere. They actually did their work properly. And they felt pride in doing something that even men could not do. So this is what we need to be focusing in. You spoke about Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In. Many times she wrote a book called Lean In. I was thinking about that. And somewhere or the other, I have my own issues with this as well. Lean In is something which is again putting the onus on the woman. You step out, you come out, you talk about it, you say no. You do Me Too. And look at what happens, So the onus is on the woman. It's the same thing as saying that women should learn self-defense. Why should women learn self-defense? Okay, if men and women both need to learn self-defense because criminals are there and we need to be protected from criminals, to that extent that there is a helmet, you need to wear a helmet so that you don't have an accident, fine, great. But to say that it is your responsibility to protect yourself is the same thing as saying that you wear a particular thing or you don't wear a particular thing because you wore a particular thing, that is why it happened to you. So you have to protect yourself by dressing differently. You have to protect yourself by talking differently. You have to protect yourself. So how can we constantly, would I want that for my daughter? Would I want my daughter to go out every day, thinking about who's going to attack her next? Is she not going to access the same public spaces as my son? When my son is not frightened, why should my daughter be frightened? And why should the onus be on her? Why is the onus always on the women? Why is it that it needed a Me Too campaign for women to go through the trauma of explaining what happened to them? Again, it's on women, that they have to go through the trauma of explaining themselves, explaining what happened to them so that people get sensitized. And look what happened there. There's a whole defamation suit that happened. We know what happened yesterday. There was a judgment and she had to go through that because she spoke about it. Why do we need women to speak about it? Are you aware that 90 to 98% of perpetration of violence against women is by men? So where are the men in the conversation? How can it only be about the women? Why do we call it a women's issue? It's not a women's issue, it's a men's issue. We have taught our children, we have taught our daughters to say no. Is that right? We've taught them how to say no. We said, no, say no. You must know that no means no and all that. Yeah. Have we taught our sons how to take no for an answer? Because isn't that where the problem lies? They don't understand how to take no for an answer. And if we have not engendered them since childhood, if we have not treated them differently since childhood, if we have not explained this thing to them since childhood, they're not going to learn. And so what happens? We've also taught them, don't cry. because crying is a woman thing. Don't cry like your sister. So what do? If I can't cry, it has to come out somewhere, right? I think we have a great quality. It comes out. We cry. So it's great. But what does the man do? He comes out in aggression. And then he's not been taught that no is also a valid thing that people say, because he's been given everything that he needed, everything that he wanted. And if all he has to do is just show a bit of aggression, and even the mother steps back. And so when he encounters a girl who says no, because she's been empowered now, she says no. And then he can't take it. So what does he do? He abuses, he uses aggression, and then it ends up with rape. And are you also aware that more than 94% of rapes happen by people known to you? It's happening within the family, it's happening within the neighborhood, it's happening here, it's happening with us. So what is it that we need to attack? We need to attack the perpetrator. We need to start looking at the perpetrator. We have NGOs looking at women's issues. Where are those NGOs who are teaching the men how to behave? And when will those NGOs come up? Because that is where the conversation must start. They are stakeholders too. When we have a discussion, stakeholders, who are stakeholders? Stakeholders are those who can affect or who get affected by anything, by any issue. That's what a stakeholder means. So these are stakeholders who affect. And why are they not in the conversation? If they are not aggressors, then they are those people whom we nowadays call innocent bystanders. I say there is no such thing as an innocent bystander in these issues. You have to be an active bystander. You cannot afford to be innocent anymore, because you have to take a decision. If you are not part of the problem, you have to start getting to part of the solution. And that is not by keeping quiet. When the situation demands that truth be spoken, then silence is culpable. And so by just keeping quiet in a WhatsApp group, people are talking, by just keeping quiet or just sniggering or just laughing, you're actually encouraging the other person. If a woman is being, if there is eve teasing that is happening on the road and there are bystanders, those bystanders will have to become active bystanders now. They cannot be. If they are passive bystanders, they're no longer innocent. Because there is, even the IPC tells you, there is a whole chapter on general exceptions. And it tells you that there is a right to private defense, not only your own, but also of others. You need to step up, because if you do not step up, you don't need to go and actually go there and do something and jeopardize your own life. You need to inform the police. The police is required to do what it's required to do. So you need, at least we can do that, if nothing else. So what will be my individual responsibility for an engendered home? How was I raised? How am I raising my children? Within our own households, we bring up victims of domestic, if we are victims of domestic violence, we are not the only victims of domestic violence. Our children are also victims of domestic violence, because that's what they're learning. They're seeing what's happening around them. And we are creating another generation who feels it's okay, that this is how it's okay to be treated, this is how it's okay to be spoken of. So we need to target both. We need to target our boys, we need to target our girls. While we teach our girls to say no, we must empower them with the confidence that they can say no without getting hurt. And as a society, we have to facilitate that. As a society, we have to stop the role typing, we have to stop the stereotyping. And do you know that even among the boys who suffer violence, 93%, over 93% are male perpetrators. So obviously we have a problem there. We have to look at that. I don't mean to put people's defenses up. Most men think that I'm not like that. Okay, you're not like that. Great. But can you prevent the people around you from being like that? Because only when you do that, you're okay. So the first thing, yes, it's okay. We need to not be part of the problem. That's fine. But we also need to facilitate it for other people. And we need to create that environment where we can, not only within as individuals, but also later. So what is our societal responsibility? When people come to the police, what do they expect from us? They expect that we will believe them. Please understand that we come from the same society that you do. We come from the same socialization process that you do. And if we, after wearing this uniform, if we are not taught to rise above our socialization process, then our responses will be very much the same. If a girl comes to complain about eve teasing, how many times have we heard of this? That they come and say कि तुम यही पहनी हुई थी, तुमने ऐसी बात किया था, तभी तो तुमको हुआ. That is why it happened to you, because you were wearing this. That is why it happened to you. When I was ASP in Agra, there was a couple who was standing outside my office wanting to come inside, and they were crying. I called them inside. And when they came inside, they just put a baby on my table like that. It was a 7-month-old baby. They just placed her on my table in front of me. And they, they were sobbing. I said, what happened? They said that हमारी बच्ची के साथ गलत काम हुआ है, बुरा काम हुआ है. And I said, who did this? They said, nobody is believing us. We went to the police station, nobody was believing us. The place where they were working at a construction site, both the husband and wife would work, as it is in so many households. So they went to the son of the owner of that construction, whoever was the contractor, that son. And this was a 7-month-old baby. I lifted the frock of that child, and I cannot begin to express what I felt that day. There was nothing that was left over there. That was how much damage that girl was. And she was 7 months old. What clothes did she wear for the guy to get excited and get motivated into raping her? What clothes did she wear? She was a 7-month-old baby. So it's not about those clothes. So when we come from that same socialization process, what we need to guard against is that we need to actually tell our people, and that we've been telling people through Mission Shakti. We've been telling our own police force that, look, your default response will have to be trust. It cannot be anything else. You have to just trust that whatever is being told to you is the right thing. You cannot judge the person who is in front of you by something that happened a month ago or somewhere else in another district. That there was some girl who lied about it. She had an affair with the boy, and okay, she had an affair with the boy. She slept with him 20 times. The 21st time she didn't want to sleep with him, and she said no. She still has a right to complain. We don't understand that. Even a sex worker, if she does not want to have sex with a client, she has the right to say no. He will get his money back, but she has the right to say no. But we don't understand it that way. So we have insisted on our police force that the default response must be trust, because that is where all the complaints against us come, that we didn't deal with them properly. We didn't talk to them properly. We didn't believe them. We attributed things to them which shouldn't have been there. So that is what it will take for the society to do it. It's not only us. The good part about Mission Shakti is that for the first time, I'm seeing that we are talking about the entire 24 crore population of this state. We are not talking about educating and making women aware or making girls aware. We are talking about everybody becoming aware, and we are talking about it as a social responsibility for everybody to do. Because as a society, if we don't do it, we will not be able to create that situation. What has the pandemic taught us? The pandemic has taught us that as long as it was a woman problem, it's like when we talked about things like a shift system, or we talked about things like, can we work from home? We're not feeling okay today. Can I work from home? I can do everything from home. Let me work from home. It was looked at very, very, how can you work from home? How can you take a separate shift? How can you seek these privileges in the workplace? And now in the pandemic, when everybody had to do it, even the men had to do it, even the women had to do it, look at how the processes came into being. Look at how everything came into being. Everything was possible. Online webinars were possible. Online work was possible. Everything was possible. So when we look at Lean In, to that extent, I would agree that we need to go out and claim those spaces for ourselves. Empowerment will need to come from within. I strongly believe that this word itself is a little, we call it Sashaktikaran in Hindi. And empowerment itself, I really think to think that it can be benevolently bestowed on somebody else is in itself, it's inherently against the concept of empowerment. So I would look at self-reliance more. I would look at something of, like nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. I didn't say it, Eleanor Roosevelt said it. But it is true, right? And as long as we understand, we need to step up. Yes, we need to step up. But once we have stepped up, once you people, wherever you are in good places, have stepped up, then it's time for us to take our ilk with us. We need to help the people around us, because until we do that, we're all not, because people will be less fortunate than me. So while I stay in my power, while I accept and I assume responsibility for myself, I need to now think like the master and not the victim. I need to say to myself that I will not allow that which is not in my control to prevent me from doing what is in my control. So let's stop cribbing about what is not in my control. Let's just leave that. Let's look at what we can do within our control. I will repeat what I just said. I will not allow that which is not in my control to prevent me from doing what is in my control. So to conclude this part of the next time we think about leaning in or getting to equal or empowerment or mainstreaming or inclusion, stop. Let's think. Let's just go a little inward. It can no longer be about who you want to be. It'll have to be about who wants to be you. So our responsibility is not only towards ourselves. We need to be. It has to be towards ourselves to the extent that, look, if I want to be a doormat, people will come and wipe their feet on me. I need to kind of step out and say that, no, I'm not going to be a doormat. I'm going to be in my power. I'm going to stay in my power. And I'm going to be the way I am. I'm not going to become like somebody else, because, I mean, there was one of my probationers, a last one, Sukirti. There's one of my probationers who said to me, she says, ma'am, is it important, like as a police officer, as a female police, she was an IPS officer. She says, is it important for me to be flamboyant and brash and aggressive and, like abusive? Because that seems to be the subculture of the police, that, I need to be all this. I'm not, I'm a very big introvert. And do I need to be all these things to be able to be accepted as a police officer? No, you don't. And that is the whole thing that we need to understand for ourselves. We don't need to be somebody else. We can only fake it for a while. Finally, you can be only what you can be inherently. And that purity will come to the fore, whatever it is that you are. That if you are flamboyant, that will come to the fore. If you're not, it will come to the fore. So you can only suppress yourself for some time. And I say to you, why bother? Why suppress yourself? Be who you are and remain how you will be. Because you see the people around you, they're not bothering to do it. Do it only if it's helping somebody. Do it for your parents. Do it for elders. Do it because it's helping somebody get over something. But don't do it to devalue yourself ever. Don't do it to get to equal, because I say to you that you are far, far ahead. You are far, far above. And I'm not saying it just to inspire you. I'm saying it so that you really believe it and you really get to that place. Because once you do, you will be able to help anybody else, everybody else around you. So I say, let's shift the paradigm. Let's address the potential perpetrator. Let's not keep addressing the potential victim. Let's just shift it a little bit. And I just want to end. I cannot see too many people on the screen. So I will just do this exercise with you, Sukirti, Urvi, and Anurag. I can see these people on the screen. So can you see me? Just put your hand up. One hand. And make a finger, put your index finger and your thumb. Yeah, you can hear me? Okay. Now please place this on your chin. Where is your chin? Urvi, Anurag, where is your chin? Okay. So this is your chin. So remember, why did you do that? Why on earth would you do this?
Because we followed you.
Just remember one thing, this is the last thing to you, that no matter what you're saying, it's what you do that is being heard. Because your followers, your subordinates, your employees, the public, everybody is listening with their eyes. The only reason for us to have ears these days is this, because it gives you a scope to put the mask on. Otherwise, nobody is really listening to you with your ears. With their ears. They're listening to you with their eyes. So it is what you do that is important. What you say is not important anymore. It's what you do that is important. And once you start doing that, they will learn. So all those who are mothers out there, what you do, how you deal with what is happening in your household is what your children are learning. Not the gyan that you give them later on. All those people who are working, it's what you do at your workplace which is important, not what you say at your workplace. So this is it. Sukirti, so thank you very much for this opportunity. I will take whatever questions. A big salute to all of you for everything that you do. I'm sure you do some great stuff. Yeah, thank you.
We'll take from Anurag. Anurag, I'm sure you have lots of questions, and we'll start with the.
No, I agree with Ms. Mishra that it is what you do matters. Even in at home, children see what their parents do. I think they learn most from their parents and grandparents. Seeing them, it's not what they say. Just I totally agree with you, and you gave a great example. I want to ask you one question, and I just want to tell you, Ms. Mishra, that one of my senior editorial colleagues, her name is Ujjwala Sushil Naidu. She joined us recently. She is launching a police publication for us, Police World. So we'll talk to you about it. There's a question from her, but I want to ask you. I didn't listen to you for the first 6.5 minutes because I was finishing another event. But since then, I've been on and intently listening. Now, do you see? You're right that the males need to change their point of view, need to change their actions. The males need to be in the conversation. And I have said, and some of us said that in this gender conversations and diversity and inclusion, the male CEOs, the male colleagues, they need to be sensitized more than the women. So totally agree. My question is, now you talked about 8% workforce of police being women and 90%. I've read that report, by the way. It came out in 2018 and, State of the Police report. And there was another report on the perception among citizens of the police force. If you read both of them, it gives you some pointers. The question I'm trying to ask is, if you had to change in the police force today, you are the head of police recruitment, right, in your state, right? Now, what have you done in your position of being the head of police recruitment to bring more women in the workforce vis-a-vis police? That's the one thing I want to know. And what has it been the impact of that? Because in that State of the Police report, it clearly said that when it came to reporting cases, wherever there were women constable or women police officers involved, it was much more easier. The number of cases, the crime came down in districts where there were more. You gave this example of the Gir Forest. Because I met a promoter of a very large media company when I started my first company called Exchange to Media. And he told me that his women CEOs were better than the male CEOs because they were more sincere, more focused, and more, like more accountable. The women CEOs were better. So tell us, what have you done in your current job to be able to create more leaders in the police force in UP?
See, just for you to understand the government, how the government works, there is a policy and everything is done as per the policy. So the governmental policy in UP is 20% reservation for women. So we have reservation for women at the lower levels. That means at the constable level, we have direct recruitment for constables and for sub-inspectors. And in UP, it's just by chance that I'm right now ADG of the Recruitment and Promotion Board. I set up this board also when it started in 2009. So we started the first system of transparent recruitment process. And we introduced technology into recruitment, which earlier was not there. So there was a lot of human intervention. We used to get into a lot of, there was a lot of negativity involved in recruitment. It was partisan. Yes, there was corruption. There were a lot of things that were happening. So the first big thing that we did, and this is not only for women, this is for women and men both. The first big thing that we did was that we introduced transparency into recruitment. We minimized human intervention. We introduced the concept of chip timing. We introduced the concept of e-recruitment software. We even put the answer sheets, the OMR answer sheets, we scanned them and put them up. We did decentralized scanning. Everything was done. You can also check it out. You can read it. And it's called TRP. We called it TRP because we thought that the transparent recruitment process, TRP, not the TRP, which is, we said that would improve the TRP of the police, because if we did a good police recruitment. So as far as the policy is concerned, it says 20%. So me wanting to recruit more, I cannot do it. I can only do it as per the recruitment policy of the government. So the recruitment policy of UP government is 20%. In the center, in some areas, it's 33%. In some areas, it's 20%. In some areas, it's 15%. When I was in SSB, we were also the first to recruit women into border guarding. into the bodyguarding role. But I can't take credit for that. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. The government policy happened such that we were doing it. And if you understand this 8.28%, I mean, if we, let's say we take, mathematically speaking, when you do 20% today, then obviously to get to 20% in the entire state, you will have to do 80% or 90% to be able to get to 20%. So if we started 20% in 2009, it's going to take us forever and we probably never get there. But a lot of women have come into the police force because of this reservation. And the more the numbers, the more people are going to sit up and take notice. What has happened in UP is that now we have sufficient numbers in UP. I mean, much more than what we had earlier. Although our percentage is still 4%, 6%. It's not more than that. We are coming to 8%, we are coming to 10%. We will in the next few recruitments. So what have I done for women? I cannot take credit for a government policy which is already there. If I had scope to change the policy, be in a policy making situation, then yes, I would have done it. But yes, when we did the recruitment, we made it possible for women to come and actually participate. For the first time, we had a 10-kilometer run for men and a 5-kilometer run for women. So women were required to run that 5-kilometer run in 35 minutes. And we had publicized it well in advance that there would be no sifarish, there would be no money, there would be no nothing. You would come only on the basis of your merit. A lot of these girls had started running, which you don't find. You find boys running in the rural India, but you don't find girls running to participate in a recruitment. But they were there in large numbers and we recruited almost 6,000 people in the first recruitment itself. So in UP, when we do recruitments, we do large numbers. We do 35,000, 40,000, 45,000. And if 20% of that, that large numbers are coming in. Because large numbers have come in, that is why under Mission Shakti, we have been able to deploy Mahila help desks. We have enough women to be placed at Mahila help desks. And they are the ones who are the first point of contact at the police stations. Not only in the Mahila help desk, but now as under the Safe City concept, we also have pink booths. Of course, I have another funda about pink. We have to go beyond pink. But since it's a color which is... So yes, we have pink booths. We have women to woman pink booths because you don't call them manning booths anymore. They're womaning booths. And then we have pink mobiles, pink scooties. We have women who are coming in to do patrolling on the streets. We have enough of them. And at least in the commissionerate in Lucknow, we do have enough of them. So that has come about only because we have more women. Now that we have more women, we also have to make the environment suitable for them to continue to be there. Not only do we need to attract people to come in, women to come into the police force, we need to do enough to retain them there. And for that, creating that engendered environment, looking at their equipment, looking at where they stay, the concept of barrack privacy, I think we need to do away with barracks altogether. We need to have privacy for them. We need to have single rooms. We need to have, like a hostel, and stop, creating a situation in which they need to bathe in front of each other or need to change in front of each other, because women and men have different locker room privacy issues. Men may be comfortable or not comfortable, but women definitely are not. So these are the various things. In UP, what have we done? We've done something called Manthan, which is, like I said, what we did at the BPRND. We did a brainstorming at every district. From November 2019 onwards, we did a brainstorming with all the police women in the districts to be able to understand what their issues are, what issues need to be addressed and redressed. And after having done that, we are now coming out with an action plan to be able to redress all those things which we found were wanting as far as their facilities are concerned, so that they can fight the same fight and we can look at equity rather than equality. Yeah.
I just want to make a quick comment. From your talk, it appears that rightly so, you don't believe in stereotypes. You want to break the stereotype. You talk about how the equipment, dress, everything were geared up for men. So one thing when it comes to the requirement for IPS officer is the height. There is a height thing, 165 centimeter for males and 150 centimeter for females. Correct me if I'm wrong. You think that's the right thing to have? Is height important for leadership?
I don't think height is important anywhere. Okay. Because, See, the thing is, there are many things which come into recruitment parameters. Do you know that Punjab police gives extra marks for height? So if there's somebody who's taller, he gets 2 marks more. How can you give him credit for that? I mean, it's his genes which got him there. But as far as height is concerned, people think that, if you're in a riot control situation, if you're in a law and order situation, then you need this. But then you have power packed short people who have a lot of good brain and who have a very good sense of service, and they could probably do better. So yes, we still have this as a recruitment parameter. The more unfortunate parameter that we have, height is only one thing. You have weight for women and you don't have weight for men. You have, how does that match up? I think if a girl can run 5 kilometers, everything else is cool. Why do you need to check about, this is the thing. When we don't have engendered policies, let me just quickly share. When we did the recruitment for the first time, there were 2 big mistakes that happened. In the recruitment rules itself, the recruitment rule said that she should be from 40 kgs to 52 kgs. Can you imagine? They put a lower limit and they put an upper limit of how much the weight should be. In every sensible recruitment rule, you have a band. You have a height weight ratio at least, if nothing else. Even as per the medical manual, you have a height weight. Here they said 40 and 52. So we had some beautiful 5'10", 5 feet 10 inches athletes, some beautiful girls who could not come in because no matter what you do, you can't come under 50 kilos. Why should you need to? And we could not recruit them. So we got it changed. We couldn't do anything in the first recruitment. So we got it changed for the next one. And we created a band. And we created now there is only a lesser and there is no higher, at least in UP. But in many other states, you still have that. But I would say to you, even the lesser is unfortunate. Just imagine if a girl is only 40 kilos, there are people who come from very poor areas and they're malnourished. So let them come to the police. We'll feed them. We'll give them good police mess food and let them come in and pick up some weight. And so even that I think is particularly weird. Another thing, do you know what is weird in recruitment? Now that you say it, chest expansion. We have something called chest expansion for men. And do you know that Meghalaya and Nagaland had chest expansion for women also, which was so obnoxious to have that chest expansion. And finally I had a seminar.
Yeah, chest girth fully expanded, 84 centimeter for males and 79 centimeter for females. An expansion 5 centimeter for both of them. So I know. And height for ST, Gorkhas, Asmis, Kumaon and Nagalandis are less. 160 centimeters.
As per tribal, as per requirement. But women, now they have stopped it in Meghalaya and Nagaland. After we did the seminar, they realized that this was not a good thing to have. So they changed their recruitment rules. So when we start talking about these things, those things change. But chest expansion, why do we have chest expansion? We have chest expansion just to check your lung capacity. Why do you need to do it at all? Because if a fellow is even a guy, even if he's malnourished, why should his chest be some, like some great thing? If he's malnourished and you want a lung expansion, nowadays you have so many of those pyrometers or whatever you have to check that. So yes, we're not there yet. We need to get to some place. We will get there slowly and steadily. In the UK, they just have push, pull, and climb some height or something. They just have 3 things in recruitment. They don't bother about your height. They don't bother about. It's just that can you push properly, can you pull properly, and can you climb a particular thing. That's it. All these things are possible. So yeah, I think the most important thing is the attitude of a police officer and the values that he brings to his job. Whether he has the sense of service or not, whether she has the sense of service or not. And to presume anything is wrong. To presume sensitivity for a woman is wrong also. There are many insensitive women and there are very, very many sensitive men. So both ways, it's not a quality you're born with. It's a quality you acquire. So we all need to acquire it. Why do we need to acquire it? Because we wear this uniform. We don't have a choice. We have to.
Fantastic. So Neeta Shetty is asking a question, and I'll just take it for her. We talked a lot about sensitization and what training now is being done to sensitize the policemen.
Interestingly, you said policemen.
That's what said in the question. So Yes.
No, I'm saying interestingly, you said policemen because I know all of you are working somewhere or the other. And I have found that in most of the gender sensitization training programs, you find women going there. Because at least in the police, what happens is that when you have a gender sensitization program, acha gender ka hai, who is the lady officer around? Usko bhej do. So I'm happy to see the question that you have, for policemen. Yes, it's very required that we have a training department. They regularly organize such things. When I was in the National Police Academy a long time ago, I had written out a module for the need for gender sensitization in the police. And I had recommended not separate trainings for gender sensitization. I had recommended weaving gender sensitization into every activity that we do during the training. So if you have training, then you weave it in as a value that requires to be done. Because when you start off with a gender sensitization thing, there are many men whose defenses go up. And that is not the right way to deal with it. We have some training, but we don't have enough. We need to have more. And the only way to do it is to insist on certain values, some non-negotiable values, and say that you will say the following things, you will not say the following things no matter what. And that is a good place to start. Changing them from within will take a little more time. But we're getting there. We're trying. Even through Mission Shakti, we've done a lot of programs on gender sensitization at various levels. We need to do more.
Anurag? Anurag, you're muted.
Ujjwala is asking. Ujjwala is my
Yes.
editor of the
Yeah.
BW Police Word, and she's asked a very simple question. She says she agrees with you, and she says people still attach gender to a profession. How can you, being a woman, you can be a cop, advocate, fauji, journalist, so on and so forth. I was asked, how are you a girl crime reporter? How would this change? She's a crime reporter with leading organization before she joined us. So, crime reporters need to be men. So there are stereotypes that we have, and sometimes they get propagated. It's time to change those stereotypes. That's the point. And then there is a question from Ranganathan. She says, RP, Ranganathan. ILO standards on occupational safety and health, which are applicable universally, call for national authorities taking a gender-sensitive approach in developing and reviewing OSH legislation through various measures as mentioned in the occupational safety and health. So what do we do for giving women better psychological help and health in every way? How do we give them safety? So that's the question Ranganathan is asking.
See, I think the second question on safety and health, that is a very important issue. During the course of our survey, we also found that there were very many issues which people were not aware of. Like our women were not aware of the fact that if they did not express mother's milk, then what would happen to them? They were getting cysts because they did not express the mother milk. There were many women who had these urinary infections that I spoke of. There were many women who had low hemoglobin, because of the kind of nutrition that they were having. So I think there is a lot of awareness that is required to be shared with women. And also we had recommended an annual health checkup for all police women and policemen, of course, but for police women specifically, things like pap smear, things like a mammogram, things like wherever we require, then we need to have a check, because when we check blood tests, we don't check the urinary, we don't check gynecologically as to what is required. So yes, when I look at her question or his question, I didn't quite get the person, whether the person was a male or a female, it doesn't really matter. But when I look at that, it reminds me of an example that I often give, that when we look at a large thing, like let's say I ask you, how would you solve India's population problem? Anurag, you want to go? How would you solve India's population problem?
If you ask me, it doesn't have to be straight, but I mean, possibly thinking on what you're saying, because the first child is not a male, they want a second child, they want a third child, fourth child till it's a male. Possibly that's how we have a bigger population than we should have. I don't know. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. So generally, when you say, how would you solve India's population problem? People generally come out with, like, let's have family planning measures. The government should come up with a policy. Like, you talk about occupational safety and hazards and all that. So the government should come out with a policy and all that. That's what we think. We think global. Let's say I ask you the same question and say, how would you solve India's population problem?
Have only one kid or two kids.
Absolutely. So Sukirti, that's the thing. So when we turn that inward and we say, how would you solve India's population problem? It's, I will have one kid or I will have two kids. So I think when we look at occupational and safety hazards, when you and I cannot control government policy, what can we do which is in our control? We first do it in our own workplace. We take it up where we can take it up so that policy changes. So I would look at it that way. And coming to the first part of your okay, there's a small story I want to tell you. There is a father and a son who were in an accident. It was a serious accident, and the father died in that accident, unfortunately. The son was grievously injured, and the son was being rushed to the hospital. So the son, they were taking him to the hospital. They put him into emergency, and then they took him directly into the operation theater. When he went into the operation theater, the surgeon was also prepping up. The surgeon prepped, and then the surgeon came inside and took one look at that boy who was on the operating table and said that I cannot operate because this is my son. If you listen to me carefully, you would have known that the father and son were in the accident, and the father died in the accident. So what really happened here?
It's his mother.
Yeah. And because Sukirti answered first, I was wanting Anurag to answer first, but well,
Sorry, Anurag.
How many people really thought mother? And that is the answer to that first part of the question. That you don't automatically think mother, that the surgeon was a mother. You don't think that the surgeon was a female. So yes, there is stereotyping, there is role typing. And I feel particularly happy to see women journalists. I feel even more happy to see women photographers, carrying that whole thing. They look so great. It's lovely. When I joined the academy, they asked me, do you want to ride a scooter or do you want to ride a motorcycle? I mean, you get one vehicle. We were junior, so we wouldn't get a car. So we would get either a Sarkari scooter or a Sarkari motorcycle. So I said, I want the motorcycle. So I said, okay, I had no clue how to ride a motorcycle. I used to ride a bike. I had ridden a two-wheeler, but then I just got onto the motorcycle because not only did it make me feel good, no big deal, but it also made all those other people who were watching me, all my other probationers, all my trainees, everybody felt a sense of, so sometimes you need to go one step ahead. Like the Gir Forest example, you need to go one step ahead. You need to actively showcase what can be done, provided you can do it. You need to have, like having women bike squads, you have women coming out overtly, not as showpieces, but actually to inspire other women that, okay, this is also possible. Then I don't need to do so much. I just need to do a little more. So that is also possible. So yeah, we need to do away with it. How do we do away with stereotyping? By not doing it ourselves. Everything that I say to you, let me first do it correctly. Then I figure out the guy next to me. If he's not doing it correctly, I correct him. And then from there, we take it from there.
Renuka ji, my question comes back to, I think, something that you said that's very important, the citizen responsibility. But a lot of us are very wary of it. And we're very scared in the sense that, we feel that if we involve ourselves, we don't want to get implicated. So there is in this back of our heads something that is stopping all of us from taking that mission of saying, no, as a citizen, this is also my job to do.
Absolutely. Not only as a citizen who has to report something, but also as a victim who needs to report something. Many times a victim doesn't come forward because she doesn't know whether she can ever go back into that family. There are victims of domestic violence who don't come out and don't talk about it because they don't know now, if I talk about my husband, then who's going to support me next? Will my family support me? Can I actually come out and tell anybody? Incest, children who are facing incest within their household, when they come out, and they would have tried, when an elephant is small, when it's a baby elephant, you tie the elephant, the Mahawat ties the elephant to a small, a khoti kind of thing with a thin rope. And when he's small, he would have tried to get out of it. At some stage, he couldn't. But when he's big, you see a huge elephant, he's still tied to that same thing. And he doesn't go anywhere. He has the power to uproot trees, but he doesn't go anywhere because he tried and he didn't get it. So what happens with incest is, if she did go and tell her mother, and her mother says, just keep quiet about it, he's your mama or he's your chacha, and we can't really afford to, because her mother herself is not empowered within her household. So she was not able to support her daughter when she required to support her daughter. And then at that stage, even that girl cannot, she tried once, she tried a second time, and then she cannot try again. So where victims themselves find it so difficult to come to the police, and then there is also that problem of the police looking at them in a particular way. We've tried to sort out that situation by giving a possibility to victims to report in many ways. Like if a victim has a phone, a mobile phone, many times I found in rural India, while I was doing this Mission Shakti, I was going to the villages, I found that the who has access to the mobile phone in rural India? Not
Men.
the man has the access to the mobile phone. If she has to complain against him, can she take his mobile phone? I want to complain against you. She can't. So we need to have some facility in the village for her to go and complain, because she doesn't have that mobile phone. So me telling her that 1090, call up 1090, call up 112, call up 181, call up 1098. I have so many helplines that I can call, but I don't have a phone. How can I call? So yeah, we have tried to facilitate, we have tried to make it easy for them. So if you cannot call, then we have pink booths. If you cannot go to the police station, if you go to the police station, then you have the Mahila help desk in the police station. And now we have one-stop centers all across the country. We have one-stop centers where even if a woman has to get out of a house, she is allowed to stay there. It's a short stay home for 5 days. She can stay there till she can figure it out. There is also scope for her legal counseling. There is scope for her medical counseling. There is scope for her to become self-reliant. One very big thing in Mission Shakti is Swavalamban, self-reliance. So until she feels self-reliant, she's not going to walk out and tell. So as a citizen, yes, it is a problem because you feel that fear. But you need to just get over it, because you have spaces where you can do it. You can call up. As a citizen, I'm sure you have access to a mobile phone. So do call. If you see a child being troubled in any way, or you have an apprehension that this is what is happening in this household, do come out and talk. Nowadays, even in cybercrime situations, we consider people who do not want their names out. There are so many girls who come out who don't want to get their names out. They just want action taken so that the guy stops troubling them. So similarly, citizens can now come out, and either it's by UP Corp Mobile, or it's by the website, or it is through these helplines, or then coming out and actually talking about it. Or then if you cannot do any of the above, go to some NGO, talk to some NGO, tell them, let them take it up. Then you don't come into the picture. So this is also possible. So if you want to do it, there are possibilities to do it. If you remember, when there used to be accidents on the road, then people would not be willing to pick up the victims and take them in their vehicles, because we thought that the doctors are going, that the police is going to think that we actually did the accident. So that changed, right? Now people are coming forward. That changed. It took some time, but then people realized that no, now it's not going to be held against us. People are not going to be suspicious of us that we actually did it. Saving the life was more important than anything else. So I think we'll get there. I think we just need to step out and start doing it. That's all. And if there's anything that we can do in that, we'd be more than happy to do it. Yeah.
And I know you're very active on your Twitter, so please do. You can send her all of your comments on Twitter also. I know we are running out of time. Any last comments, Renuka ji, that you'd like to give to the audience?
It depends upon, you want to ask me something else. I mean, if you want to ask me something else, then fine. Otherwise, my last comments to women as a whole is, don't get bogged down by what's happening around you. Just because you're vegetarian doesn't mean that the lion will not eat you. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean bad things will not happen. But don't live your life thinking bad things are going to happen. Because we need to stop somewhere. We need to stop being victims. We need to choose to be masters of our own destiny. And remember that what we think about, we bring about. So it sounds very, very philosophical and all that. But as long as, we get into our power, we stay in our power. And then once we are there, nobody's going to forgive us if we don't lend a helping hand to those around us who are less fortunate. So if you're a woman and you need to step on another woman to get to some place, don't. At least let's not do that. Let's leverage each other. Let's leverage each other's strengths. Let's champion each other. And once we are there, let's lend helping hands to each other. And all of us together, we can grow together. And we need to do that till there are so many of us that we can deal for us, we can look after ourselves. So all power to you, all power to all the women out there, all power to all the men out there who champion these women, who actually do right. And you know what right is. I don't need to tell you what right is. So I think now is the time to start doing the right thing, saying the right thing, because watch your thoughts for they become your words. Watch your words for they become your actions. Watch your actions for it becomes your habit. Watch your habits for it becomes your character. And watch your character for that becomes your destiny.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
That was so beautiful. Over to you, Urvi. We'll just say a little thanks. Urvi, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, my camera's giving me some issues. You were nothing short of fabulous, Renaka ji. I really have no words to express how heart-touching this session was. The stories, the strong message, and things that have struck the chord, assessing men based on their potential, whereas assessing women based on what she actually performs. Going past the likability issue for us women and toning ourselves down and teaching our men to take no for an answer. So much to learn from you. Absolutely fabulous. We need this mindset change at the grassroots level and, fantastic, fantastic session and lots to learn. Thank you very much for being with us on this session today.
Thank you so much, Urvi. Thank you, Sukirti.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, for joining us.
Bye. Do keep in touch.
Absolutely.